Oh, hi, fourth graders. Welcome to Book a Day. It's me, Miss McCormick, your favorite math teacher. And today we are going to read Extra Yarn. Already, by looking at the cover of this book, I can tell it's extra special. Let's check out that super blurry award. Another Caldecott Honor! Remember, the Caldecott Honor is an award given out once a year by the American Library Association for best pictures or best illustrations. Can't wait to see what it looks like. Today's vocabulary word is a word you are going to use for the rest of your life. Insatiable. Repeat. Insatiable. It's an adjective, a describing word. It means greedy or impossible to satisfy. So hungry you never fill up. I don't know what kind of animal that is in the cartoon, but she looks super hungry. So hungry she might never fill up. Her appetite might be insatiable. Let's see how that connects to our book a day today. On a cold afternoon, in a cold little town, where everywhere you looked was either the white of snow or the black of soot from chimneys, Annabelle found a box filled with yarn of every color. That's quite the drab photograph. Look at that. Very dark. So, she went home and knit herself a sweater. And when Annabelle was done, she had some extra yarn. So she knit a sweater for Mars too. But there was still extra yarn. And when Annabelle and Mars went for a walk, Nate pointed and laughed and said, "You two look ridiculous." "You're just jealous," said Annabelle. "No, I'm not," said Nate. But it turned out he was. Wait, what did Annabelle do for him? And even after she made a sweater for Nate and his dog, and for herself, and for Mars, she still had extra yarn. At school, Annabelle's classmates could not stop talking about her sweater. "Quiet!" shouted Mr. Norman. "Quiet, everyone! Annabelle, that sweater of yours is a terrible distraction. I cannot teach with everyone turning around to look at you." What a terrible teacher. "Then I'll knit one for everyone," Annabelle said, "so they won't have to turn around." "Impossible," said Mr. Norman. "You can't." Do you have a prediction about what might happen next in our story? But it turned out she could. And she did. Even for Mr. Norman. And when she was done, Annabelle still had extra yarn. So she knit sweaters for her mom and dad, and for Mr. Pendleton and Mrs. Pendleton, and for Dr. Palmer, and for little Lewis. She made sweaters for everyone except Mr. Crabtree, who never wore sweaters or even long pants, and who would stand in his shorts with the snow up to his knees. "No sweater for me, thanks," said Mr. Crabtree. So she made Mr. Crabtree a hat, and even then, Annabelle still had extra yarn. She made sweaters for all the dogs and all the cats and for other animals too. Soon, people thought, soon Annabelle will run out of yarn. But it turned out she didn't. So Annabelle made sweaters for things that didn't even wear sweaters. Oh, look at this illustration. Like for this birdhouse, or for this house, or for a mailbox. A mailbox doesn't wear sweaters. Things began to change in that little town. News spread of this remarkable girl who never ran out of yarn, and people came to visit from around the world to see all the sweaters and to shake Annabelle's hand. I bet she has a strong handshake, don't you think, fourth grade? One day, an archduke who was very fond of clothes sailed across the sea and demanded to see Annabelle. "Little girl," said the archduke, "I would like to buy that miraculous box of yarn, and I am willing to offer you $1 million. "No, thank you," said Annabelle, who was knitting a sweater for a pickup truck. The archduke's mustache twitched. $2 million, he said. Annabelle shook her head. "No, thanks." $10 million, shouted the archduke. "Take it or leave it." "Leave it," said Annabelle. "I won't sell the yarn." And she didn't. So that night, the archduke hired 3 robbers to break into Annabelle's house, and they stole the box and took it to the archduke, who set off across the snow and sailed over the sea back to his castle. The archduke put on his favorite song and sat in his best chair. Then he took out the box and he lifted its lid and he looked inside. What's inside of the box? His mustache quivered. It shivered. It trembled. The archduke hurled the box out the window and shouted, "Little girl, I curse you with my family's curse. You will never be happy again." But, oh, what's happening to the box? Looks like it's traveling. Annabelle found it. It turned out she was happy again. And that is the ending of our story. That was a great read aloud. Fourth graders, let's look at our vocabulary word, insatiable, a describing word, an adjective, greedy or impossible to satisfy. So hungry you'll never fill up. How could you use the word insatiable to describe something that happened in our story? I would say the archduke was insatiable when it came to the yarn. He wanted that yarn so badly. He was so greedy. I don't know if any type of yarn would satisfy him. Thanks for joining me for Book a Day. See you soon.